Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys watching today's video. Got a good one for you today, guys. We're going to be talking about how to adjust the drag on your reel, because this is one area that I see a lot of people making a lot of mistakes in. I think that a lot of people don't really fully understand the drag system on a bait cast reel specifically. We're not talking about spinning in today's video. It's all bait casting, and I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice on how to do it that'll definitely stop you guys from losing some fish that you normally would have lost if you didn't have your drag set right. Real quick, guys, I just got an announcement I want to share with everybody. You guys may have seen it, but yesterday I started a new YouTube channel. It's my third channel. It's called Advanced Bass Fishing with Randy Blockett. This is a high-level master's course, advanced fishing techniques. I'm going to be putting out one video per week. They're going to be like 45 minutes to an hour long, sort of like a seminar. Like I said, it's going to be tour level, top level fishing information, full of details. If you guys would like to subscribe to the channel, that'd be really appreciated. I'll put the link to the Advanced Bass Fishing YouTube channel, the link in the description here. I'm much appreciated if you'd help me get it off the ground there. Okay, guys, let's talk a little bit about this drag system on reels here. Now, first of all, there's been a lot of improvements over the years in bait cast reel drags, but they're still not good enough. They're still not foolproof because they do not react to a fish's movements quick enough. And a lot of fish are lost because people have their drag set improperly. Two different scenarios. They're not only lost as far as when a fish takes line out on your drag, but they're also lost when you set the hook. So anyway, we're going to get into all those details about what you need to do. So the first thing that you have to realize as far as drag, how you want to set it, it has a lot to do with the pound test line that you're using, and it has a lot to do with the lure that you're using. Because say, for example, if you're fishing a crankbait on 10-pound test line, you obviously want the drag set loose on there because you have a lot, bigger chance to have the hooks pull out or to break the line. But if you're flipping, a jig on braided line or 25-pound test fluorocarbon, you don't really need to have the drag loose because you want power out of that. And when you set the hook, you don't want that drag slipping any. One of the biggest ways I think a lot of people lose fish is when they, say for example, they're fishing a jig or a plastic worm or something like that, and they get a strike. I got a big backlash here. Anyway, they get a strike and they set the hook on it, and their drag slips too much and they don't get the hook penetrated. But then another problem you have is if you got the drag too tight and you set the hook and the fish makes a run, the fish is either going to pull off or break your line sometimes, even if you're using 15, 20-pound test line. So the key is you've got to be able to set the drag right for the hook set and for fighting the fish at the same time. And then you have to learn how to use your thumb bar, because guys, I'll tell you right now, the thumb bar in most situations should be your drag. I'm going to guess that 98% of the time my drag is irrelevant because I use the thumb bar as a drag, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So anyway, first of all, like I said, when you initially set it, the only time I think that you really need to set the drag very loose is like if you're fishing small crankbait, something like that, on 8 to 10-pound test line. And then I like to have the drag fairly loose. See how easy that pulls out there? And that way, if the fish, makes a little run, it's not going to pull off. And also, say I'm throwing that crankbait along there and I set the hook on it, since I'm pulling into the fish, I'm not worried about penetration because the fish pretty much hooks itself with the crankbait. So I need a loose drag with that. Now, everything else is sort of medium. Say, for example, I'm fishing a chatterbait or a spinnerbait or something like that. When I get the strike with the chatterbait or spinnerbait, it's sort of a half set, half pull, so I may want the drag set at like a medium level. But the main thing, guys, and this is something you sort of have to experiment as far as the lure that you're fishing, you do not want the drag to slip when you set the hook. You want that spool to stay in position without slipping so you can get a solid hook. And you don't want to miss. Say for example, you set it up and you've got it where you set the hook and it doesn't slip, and then you got a big fish on, say you got a 5, 6, 7, 8-pound bass on, And then you realize at that point you've made a mistake because the fish is going to start taking line out and you got the drag set too light, that is when you need to thumb right here with the thumb bar. So what I do with it, guys, this is how I fight a fish. It's like, say for example, you know, I throw out there and I'm working the bait and I get a strike and I set the hook. Now, I'll crank on the fish until I know how big it is. And say I'm cranking this fish up and I get it up by the boat, it's coming to me, and I look out there and it's a big one. It's a 5, 6, 7, 8 pound bass. Immediately, what I do is when I see it's a big fish, I depress the thumb bar just like that. And I hold my thumb on the spool and I'm waiting for that fish to make a run, because when that fish makes a run, I can put as much pressure or as little pressure on it as I want to on my thumb. So if that fish makes a run like that and it's a fast run, taking out a lot of line, I can let that fish take as much line out with the least amount of pressure as long as I keep the line tight. And if I need to turn that fish, I can put pressure on the thumb and stop that spool from spinning. So this is sort of like one of those deals with, you guys heard me talk about back reeling with the spinning reel. This is the same thing, guys. You have got to get good with the thumb bar to control that with that. You can, once you get used to it, guys, this will be your drag. I don't even on lighter line and stuff like that, I pretty much have my drag set pretty tight because I thumb bar everything. Now that's sort of an advanced skill. That's something that takes a lot of different years of experience. So what I'm talking about earlier, as far as keeping your drag loose on crankbaits, that's for somebody until you get used to it. But once you get used to it, guys, learn to fight your fish by pressing that spool in there. What I do is, like, you know, if I've got a big fish on or a good fish on, and I'm fighting that fish, I fight that fish with the thumb bar depressed, and I'm fighting that fish actually holding the thumb bar. And the only time I engage it like that is when the fish is coming to me, and I crank it as fast as I can when it comes to me. But as soon as that fish changes direction, I push the thumb bar again. That way I'm ready for any level of power of a run that the fish has. And guys, this is a foolproof way to do it. And once you get good at it and once you get comfortable with it, the drag will sort of become a thing of the past for you as far as on your bait cast reel there. But anyway, it's just a matter of experimentation and using it a lot. A drag is a matter of feel a lot of times. I think a lot of people, the problems that they have and the mistake they make is they rely on a drag too much. You guys know I don't use a drag on a spinning reel. I lock everything down, even on 4-pound test line, and I back reel. And pretty much the same with the drag on a bait cast reel. Since I free spool the thumb, I really don't need a drag much. But until you get comfortable with that, use whatever's comfortable. But eventually, guys, once you master the art of fighting a fish, you will be thumb barring and back reeling. That's just the best way to fight a fish by far. And even people that are good anglers that don't agree with me, I'll have a debate with them. And you know, if you talk about the advantages versus disadvantages, if you put the advantages of a drag and the disadvantages of a drag on both the spinning outfit on a bait caster, the disadvantages far outweigh the advantages, simply because there's just too much error involved with it. So anyway, that's my 2 cents with it. Give it a try. I think it'll help you guys lose a lot more fish. And thanks for tuning in. See you guys.